Hi guys, welcome back to Underwater Astrology, giving you the reading from June 3rd to June 11th, 2024. This week for Aries rising, the Sun in Gemini is transiting your third house, telling me that you guys are dealing with these conversations that may come to a conclusion later this week about psyche or siblings or even short distance travel. Here, the fate of the week is Pluto's in retrograde in the 11th house, telling me you're revisiting these ideas of higher aspirations, friend circles, and friend groups, but it's telling me that you're dealing with this energy of, oh, does this partnership have the freedom to express himself in this friendship circle? Like almost as if you want to find your partner in every circle, and sometimes it does require going. As a Aries cardinal sign, it's very important to deviate yourself in a higher path. 4, Taurus rising this week, it's really about understanding that heaviness is important for you to understand. Sun is in Gemini, transiting the second house. What do you value? What is on your value system? You guys are dealing with this karma of Pluto and Aquarius in retrograde, the 10th house. And you're dealing with this fate of, oh, Libra in the 6th house, it's about your routine. How much stress is actually worth it? And with Sun and Gemini transiting your second house, you're like, is this worth the stress? But then you're like, I have to work through my subconscious belief system to make sure I am supportive to people. Neptune and Pisces, 29th degree, 11th house. Despite all odds that are against me, we do have to break down this week, Taurus rising. What is stopping you of being a supportive person? For Gemini rising this week, Sun in Gemini is transiting your first house. Pluto's in Aquarius, transiting your 9th house in retrograde. South Node Libra in your 5th house. North Node Aries, your 11th house. This is telling me the fate of this week for Gemini rising is that you want to be seen, but you are coming into this higher enlightenment of, I attract aspects of who I am, but you realize that with Neptune here in the 10th, there is a little bit of deviance and deception with your career and this reflection you're so needing. So you really do have to look for higher groups of people to relate with this week. For Cancer rising this week, the Sun is in Gemini, transiting your 12th house, telling me that you guys are working through this energy of the fate of being Pluto and Aquarius transiting your 8th house in retrograde, saying that genuinely you're in a flow of accepting money and other people's resources. But what happened is that South Node Libra is in the 4th house. And so the fate of this week is that you might be rushing through emotions, and North Node Aries 10th house is like, this is going to affect your career. Oh, did I call a wrong judgment shot? Was I leading someone on to believe that something was better than it actually was? Here, Cancer rising, that's what I feel for you guys. For Leo rising this week, the energy is that the Sun in Gemini is transiting your 11th house, telling me that you guys will have a lot of vitality in friendship, social circles, environments, and higher groups of people. But here, the fate is Pluto's in Aquarius transiting your 7th house in retrograde. You might want to show off with some of your new partnerships. And South Node Libra in the 3rd house is saying, hey, like everything is really beautiful in short distance travel and communication. But North Node Aries in the 9th is telling me that you really want to make sure that where you're headed isn't too far off from what you were planning, and really understand your belief systems matter, because that's what's going to heal you, and it's yours, it's Aryan, it's about me. Let other people ruin their life here, Leo rising, but you have to stay confident in yourself. For Virgo rising this week, the Sun is in Gemini, transiting your 10th house. Pluto's in Aquarius transiting your sixth house in retrograde, telling me the fate of this week is that you'll be dealing with this revisit to your work routine. Here is South Node in Libra, second house. I want to be free, let go. But North Node in Aries in eighth house, I do have to take accountability of how I treat people. Because how I treat people is eventually going to affect my bank. It's eventually going to affect how I value myself. Here, Virgo, Virgo rising. For Libra, Libra rising, this week the Sun is in Gemini, transiting the ninth house for you, and Pluto's in Aquarius, transiting the fifth house in retrograde, telling me that the fate of this week is that you're revisiting some of those art projects you're working on, inner child healing, or for some of you, children, or your love relationships. But South Node's in Libra in your first house, telling me that you kind of are like working through this energy of like you're almost at the end of North Node Aries. I mean, we're like past the halfway point, but you're still pulling back because you're like, wait, I have to master something. So there's still this heaviness around the first house, but it's grounding. And North Node Aries in the seventh house is telling me, oh, maybe it's time to understand that maybe all partnerships are not supposed to work out the way I wanted to, but God has given me people in my local, because I always say that when the Sun's in Gemini rule, even though it's transiting your ninth house, it rules the third house. So it's this balance this week of like, God has given me people locally to help me, but I have to trust this heart awareness of my belief system. For Scorpio, Scorpio rising this week, the Sun is in Gemini, transiting the eighth house, telling me that Pluto's in Aquarius, transiting your fourth house in retrograde. The fate of the week is that Libra is in the South Node in 12th house, saying that there might feel like there's a lot of movement in the subconscious realm. And it's really important that you become more conscious in your dieting and your meditation practice and your yoga practice, in your routine, in your work environment, so that you can understand what it really will take for you to develop a higher income. And for some of you, you'll want intimacy with yourself. And this will be about understanding, well, I let go of a lot of friends for this feeling. But am I going to let go of everyone, or am I going to start making it about the money eventually? For Sagittarius, Sagittarius rising, this week the Sun is in Gemini, transiting your seventh house, and Pluto's in Aquarius in retrograde, transiting your third house. The fate of the week is that South Node's in Libra, transiting your 11th house, telling me that I think a lot of you are also like Scorpio, Scorpio rising, feeling this movement within your friendship circles and higher aspirational dreams, essentially. And that essentially North Node Aries is transiting the fifth house. And I essentially have this feeling that you guys will have to, at some point, value something in that house. It could be you're valuing your art practice, you're valuing your love relationships, for some of you multiple, inner child healing, or even children if you have any. And I think this is where the energy is going this week, Sagittarius, Sagittarius rising. This week for Capricorn, Capricorn rising, the Sun is in Gemini, transiting the sixth house, telling me that you guys are feeling this vitality and heart awareness and your routine. And I feel like a lot of you are just like, oh, this is awesome, but it's Gemini. So sometimes you want to add stuff to your routine. Maybe you want to get a new water bottle. Maybe you want to go get new, like shoes for hiking or something like that. Essentially just having this vitality to kind of strengthen some of those components that make your routine easier. That is the goal this week. With Pluto in Aquarius transiting your second house in retrograde, I think it's important to make things about how you value yourself. But I feel that you have to, with the fate of Libra being in the South Node in 10th house, it's like, are you going to pass a traffic light because somebody was being super narcissistic to you last night? Or are you going to, like, no, literally, or are you going to, like, I know that would never happen, but I'm just saying, like, even walking, essentially, like, are you going to do stuff because somebody upset you? Are you going to, like, there was like all these expressions. Maybe that wasn't a good one, but it was like, there was one that's like, kind of like this feeling of essentially wanting to let go with North Node and Aries 4th house and your emotions and how you feel, but there is this restraint because Libra is here in the South Node saying that you will feel affected by people in your 10th house and how you're seen, but essentially you have to create new neural pathways of accepting people for who they are and who you are so that you can feel as though your emotions are safe. Capricorn rising. For Aquarius rising, this week the sun is in Gemini transiting your 5th house. And I feel as though for you guys, it's really about understanding you can't really toy around with these realms anymore, these dimensions, and you have to find your own heaven and on earth and be comfortable there as being a fixed air sign. And with Pluto and Aquarius in retrograde transiting your 1st house, it's it's really important to understand, similar to Capricorn rising, are you going to follow the crowd when they just all are doing something that's very sketchy? Or are you going to come back in with South Node Libra in your 9th house and really balance out your belief system of what you've seen to be true? Like I was speaking of traffic violations, right? And it's like, really, are you going to be like, oh, I'm just going to just jaywalk everywhere and act like nobody's watching me? North Node and Aries in the 3rd house being like, well, everyone's watching you when it comes to short distance travel and like Psyche and your siblings, everyone's watching you. So can you really get upset? Just do the right thing this week, Aquarius rising, and stay fixed on what you know to be close to how you want to be seen. For Pisces rising, this week the sun is in Gemini transiting your 4th house, telling me that there will be heart awareness with your emotions and your soul tribe and heightened intuition. And Pluto's in Aquarius in retrograde transiting your 12th house, telling me that you are feeling this substance of whatever has happened and eroded your psyche in the past. This week, just be careful that you don't get too emotional and follow the crowd as well. With South Node and Libra in the 8th house, well, it really is the other person this week. It really is watch the other person, have your eyes open in these dimensions, and don't let other dimensional entities on other people take over your psyche. And you know the North Node is in Aries in the 2nd house, right? And you really do have to understand, like, it's complicated. If you don't value yourself, you will feel as though your spirit can be toyed with, as if it's not trustworthy, as if people can call the police on you, as if you did something wrong, as if you're not allowed to be in a physical body. I mean, this is the last zodiac sign. You guys have higher consciousness energy. Just try to ground it as much as possible this week with the right nourishment for your spiritual body. You can read the different kinds of bodies on Google, but for sure, grounding your spirit will be very important this week, Pisces rising. Thank you so much for tuning into Underwater Astrology for the week of June 3rd to June 11th, 2024.